I think that's been a journey. I'm still learning. I'd say, there were days where I felt my marriage was 1 out of 10, and there are days where I felt that my marriage was -5 out of 10. And there were days like we hit the rock bottom, and it was we
Mm,
can't stand each other, kind of. But from there, I can say like now we are in a better place,
mm.
but we had to go through all that.
This is your family unit, and then what happens within these closed doors will remain so. I'm like, no. We
Yeah.
are called to live life as a community or as like together. God gives so much strength
Mm-hmm.
in putting the church together,
Yes. Yeah.
each with its own functions.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not utilizing that, but instead we are like, trying to like go closer as a unit and struggling by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it so happened that she saw my picture, Sarah.
She was
I
flattered.
swept her off. I just said, "I'm gonna marry this guy, only this guy."
She's like, now I can't look at anybody else.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining. Today we have Shilpa and Satish. I am with Shilpa for over, I would say, like almost 9 years now.
12 years.
12 years.
12 years, yeah.
Yes, and we met at Moody, which is where I went to seminary, and we share such sweet memories, fun memories.
Yes.
No, Satish and I also about the same time, like probably a year after knowing Shilpa. And they're like a big brother, big sister. They've been part of Chris and I's life for a very long time now. And well, they were one of the first people I introduced Chris to because I was so nervous. So they have seen a lot. They have seen a lot. And, I am not going to say too much about them. I will let them introduce themselves. So, Shilpa and Satish, just, share a little bit about who you are, where you're at right now, and yeah, just anything fun about yourselves.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay. This is the one time he brings that up.
Put the spouse first. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm from Chennai, and I'm a Tamilian by heart, true blue Chennaiite. And so in 2012, I moved to Chicago. We studied in Moody together, and then we've been married since 2015. But I met you in 2014. So right
That's
after we got arranged to marry each other, that's when I came back and I met you.
Yes.
So yeah, and then after that, God has moved us to multiple places, and now finally we call Montreal our home. And we have two beautiful boys, twin boys who are 9 year old. And but I do come from a family who loves the Lord, who's always shown me what it is like to truly walk, the Christian life, to truly be a disciple of Jesus Christ. I feel like, and no matter what happens, I come from by God's grace. I think I've seen that in my family, my mom's life, and my grandparents' life. So that's where I come from.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Satish Anna.
You.
Yeah. Yes. So, Satish, and I'm from Bapatla, from India. It's a beautiful district now.
We're still debating on that.
The city of education, they say. Okay. So I was born and brought up in Bapatla, and I did my bachelor's in pharmacy, and after that, I'm from a Hindu family, and my parents, like my dad, still, he's still a Hindu. So I have accepted the Lord during my college days when I was doing diploma in pharmacy, and that's when I was introduced to Christ, and I accepted Jesus in through that students ministry, and from then on, as a part of that students ministry, there is I have gone through that premarital counseling when I was, I think, maybe at 15 or something. So it was very clear to me that I will marry someone who is a Christian.
Hmm.
like someone who knows the Lord. When I say Christian, means somebody who, regardless of the caste or the religion, someone who chose to follow Christ and who accepted Christ as my savior. So that was where my stand on marriage was, and then after I complete my B pharmacy, and then I worked in Hyderabad for a couple of years, and then Bangalore for 5 years, and then I moved to USA,
Hmm.
and USA as in work permit, and we were there for 10 years. So during that time, like my parents were, they wanted me to marry somebody, who is a Hindu. But for me, it was very clear I'll marry somebody who knows the Lord. So it's
Hmm.
on me, like my marriage on me, pretty much.
Hmm.
So I had to, put my profile in matrimonial websites, and that's how I was introduced to Shilpa. So
Ah,
yeah,
that's
yeah. 10 years down the line, we have two kids, 9 years old.
Yes.
yeah. Twins are not for the faint of heart.
It's also be careful what you pray for.
So, did y'all pray for twins?
Yes,
Yes.
we prayed to
Oh, okay.
friends. Yes.
And then I realized, what did I get myself into?
So, Shifa, tell me a little bit about, your background in the sense, relationships wise, because we all come from India and we have a certain grid we operate in, right? A lot of things that our parents tell us almost subconsciously that are not biblical, but nevertheless they're cultural. So because it's the norm, we just think it is the truth. So tell me a little bit about where you came from, because I know a lot of your story, but tell me a bit about what you wrestled with and how you ended up with Satish.
Yeah.
I think my biggest wrestling point was I do come from, like I said, I do come from a family that absolutely loves Jesus.
Mm.
But at the same time, my parents' marriage was not an easy marriage. So right now it's a broken marriage.
Hmm.
So, but I've also always seen that. And for the longest of time, I've also operated as just as me, my mother, and my sister. So that's how we would operate.
Hmm.
That was life. And no matter what, this was the unit, for my family. But no matter what happened, my mom has always just, shown that, what, God will give me back the years, the locust ate away. So my mom has never, ever, has fought through life literally with her Heavenly Father by her side. And and that's what I grew up seeing. But at the same time, there was also this fear because my parents had an arranged marriage. And I'm also, when this came into the picture, this is an arranged marriage. And it was, as much as God pushed me, or I would say, put me in a place where he pushed me in a place where I had to start praying for my marriage in 2014. I
Mm-hmm.
remember Jan 1st of 2014. God really put it in my heart on Jan 1st saying I would have to pray for my marriage. And I was like, no, are you kidding me, God? No way. you know, because I don't want to. I'm like very happy. I love studying your word. I love this community that I'm in. I would love to do your ministry. But then God was like, no, you need to pray for marriage. And it was a hard place to be at that time when God said, I need to pray for marriage. And I was like, okay, then how? It was, and when this proposal also came in, the human in me was this constant the struggle, like wrestling within myself. Where on one side, I know God wants marriage for me because He's pushed me to pray for marriage. He's pushed me to pray for my husband. But at the same time, it's coming through an arranged marriage. I never thought that I would get into an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
I never thought I would get into a Telugu family when I'm a true blue Chennaiite Tamil person. And also at times did not want to get married to a Telugu person. But God brings someone completely out of the blue from some other walk of life into your life through this shadi. And I'm like, no, you're taking so much back. And this human in me was fighting.
Mm.
So I think where I come from, I was bringing all that fear, the fear of an arranged marriage, the fear of or not just the fear, but also this strong thing that you put yourself, you, because again, because of all the things I've gone through in life,
Mm.
because of that, you've always been on survival mode.
Right.
So you have to, no matter what, you'll have to power through.
Mm.
You'll have to be confident, and you'll have to survive. That's the life you've been on.
Right. Yeah.
And suddenly, like, when this comes in and marriage comes in, and then I'm like, what do I, you continue to be that. That was the struggle that I experienced coming in to a
Mm.
marriage, actually. Suddenly and for a long time, I think I was kind of still in the survival mode also,
Mm. Yeah.
it, of course, it's taken that time to come out of it. But I think that was what, um the struggle that I had. But at the same time, I know the path, again, like my mom had showed, the path that I walked was not by myself.
Mm.
Of course, I had Satish, but by God's grace, I had my Heavenly Father as well.
Right.
So it was, and there was so much strength and confidence I had in that, because
Mm.
I knew 500% God had showed me this person. He
Mm.
really showed it. I did not, when I said yes to marrying Satish, it was, I knew 500% or 1,000%. I was not emotionally linked. It was not an emotional connection that we had.
Mm.
But I just knew this was the person that God wanted me to marry. And that's why I said yes.
And so, Shilpa, you were sharing something, I think it's so sensitive of just what your family background was and what you have grown up watching. And I think it's the reality of many Indian families. In one of our previous episodes, we were talking about how we boast about not having a very high divorce rate in India, but nobody really looks at the amount of dysfunction in each family. Like outside, we are looking pretty good, right? And we always are, very proud about that. And but on the inside, the children know what's happening between the parents. So, what did that do to you, Shilpa, when you noticed that there was this distance? Because apparently that father figure technically helps us trust the men that we will eventually, or the man eventually get married to. What did that do to you? Because you obviously would have brought in some of that baggage into your relationship.
Yeah. I think growing up, what I always, very early on in life, what I all understood was my father, though physically being present, it was, the relationship that I had with my father was very different. Like, it was not like any other father daughter or father child relationship.
Mm.
So, but I think, again, by God's grace, my family, like when I say my family, my extended family, by God's
Mhm.
grace, in India, we have amazing extended families, right? So for me, my grandfather was a huge person in my life. Like, he was my father figure. He
Mm.
very early on took it on himself, or intentionally or unintentionally, I became like he has 4 daughters. My mother's the third, but
Mm.
I literally became like his fifth daughter for him, and he would do things, I think, like any father would do. I was just sharing about him very recently. I would just have to think of, oh, I feel like eating, I'm craving something from this place. That evening he'll buy that and come. You know,
Mm.
really, that was such a special relationship that I had. And one thing I noticed was God compensated because my
Mhm.
grandfather was there.
Right.
My mother, of course, she took up two roles, and she was a fighter.
Mm.
So somehow God always compensated. And then, so there was never this place of, there was this lack of a father, was because God had placed someone over there who
Mhm.
might not have been that male person.
Right.
There was my grandfather, but he also died when I was 15,
Mm.
which was something, of course, that was the way I think I went after. I did not want God in my life for some time when my grandfather died. I was like, hey, he was this one person that I had. I was holding on to.
Mm.
And when my grandfather died, I just like felt like I lost life,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
And then, so that male person was gone. And then, of course, then my relationship with my mother built,
Mm-hmm.
slowly. So that was what I was bringing in, was this relationship with my mom and operating with my mom all the time,
Mm.
and my sister all the time. In fact, the first things that I told him was, uh, you know My mom and my sister are very important. They will always be priority.
Mm-hmm.
But then what I didn't end up realizing, which after I got married, was anything and everything, no? By instinct, if your instant reaction, the first thing is calling up mama and saying, Ma, right? Like,
Yes. 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 Yeah.
that's a very natural, it just naturally comes. It took such a long time to say, no, just one small thing. I cannot do that. I'm going to put that on hold. It's not urgent to call mommy or my sister to say anything.
Mm,
The first instant reaction has to go to him.
right.
That
Yeah.
was like yeah, and that's something that I really struggled with.
Mm,
And the second thing was, again, in India, like you say, the divorce rate, dysfunction, all of that is there. Okay.
mhm.
And one of the things I remember was a lot of times, they'll say, oh, in Christianity, like, divorce is not agreeable,
Right.
right? Like, so that was also one of the things I feel like people abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, for me, what I was seeing was inside the four walls, something else is happening. Outside the four walls,
It's a
there's
different
something else.
story. Yeah.
It's a different story.
Mm,
So what I learned from that though is what is inside these four walls, I will be outside the four walls. I cannot be two-person
mm,
inside and out. So I think that's what I when I came into the marriage, like it was, I think I was always like living out life. Like even with you, I think I first met you and I just blabbered everything. like because for me, I feel like I cannot hide anymore.
mm, yeah.
This is who I am. This is my story. This is how God has redeemed me. This is how God has restored me. And He's, no, I don't want to. That part of, but in India, I think like sometimes they put yourself in this place like where, or not just in India, I wouldn't say in India, but
Mhm.
generally in life also, or in the world, they will say like, like this is your family unit and this, what happens within these closed doors will remain so. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
we are called to live life as a community or as like together. God gives so much strength
Mm-hmm.
in putting the church together,
Yes. Yeah.
each with its own functions.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not utilizing that, but instead we are like, trying to like go closer as a unit and struggling by ourselves.
Yeah. We would rather cover up the shame than let light shine in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, of course, was there a lot of dysfunction when I came in? For sure. Like again, like I said, my survival instinct was one. Well, my stubbornness, of course,
Mm,
and I have, because again, you always you're thinking also like one step ahead. Growing up, like I feel like you cannot fail.
yes. Yeah. It's very shameful and need to damage control as much as you can.
So, you can, of course, I had my own rebellious ways of showing, my insides. Like, I wouldn't want to study. My mother really had to struggle with me, you know.
Mm,
But at the same time, there was always this confidence that I had no matter what. Even if I fail, I'll use that fail as a stepping stone and I'll come out. So that's but that's the mentality I actually came in, with which I came into the marriage. Like, even if the marriage fails, I'll be okay. But really, that's how it was. I
yeah.
came because you're bringing that character into you. You're bringing that confidence into the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what I brought. Like, no God wanted me, but it's okay even if it doesn't, But
Yeah.
I think that's a different thing
Mm,
now. But when I came in, I kind of felt that I had that confidence,
yeah. Yeah.
which the Lord has broken. So by God's grace, yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's
It took a
a
lot
lot
of
of.
shaving to come out, not just breaking, but shaving little by little to bring that out.
Oh yeah, I think we bring in a lot of patterns that we build around to protect ourselves, and so breaking those walls is only God's work. So thank you for sharing that. So when you were growing up, obviously you had examples around you, right? Either poor marriages or healthy marriages. What did you grow up seeing? How did that impact you? And what was it like for you to step into marriage or leading up to marriage?
So for me, the only marriage that I have seen is my mom and dad.
Mm,
And my mom and dad, like, they are like inseparable. Like, they love each other a lot and they fight a lot, but, they can't live a day without each other. So that's what I have seen. Like, I mean, growing up, I can't remember a day where my dad went somewhere and or for a vacation or for work or something. Was never the case. So I see him every day,
Mm.
night. And so we have a small grocery shop. So my dad goes to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, or 5 o'clock sometimes, and he comes back in the evening at 10 o'clock. And my mom, she wakes up around 6 o'clock and gets us ready and sent to school, and then she goes to shop to help my father, and then comes back around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and my dad comes in the evening at 10 o'clock. So that's what I have seen, like they're always together.
Mm.
So and yeah, so that's been my childhood, my parents, and after that, when I after my intermediate, I went to D pharmacy, and during B pharmacy days, that's when I was away from home, and I was in college. And for me, the only marriage that I have seen is my mom and dad. And I have gone through the premarital counseling program just to understand like what marriage is from a Christian perspective, and what Bible expects from a marriage. And that is just 1 or 2 hour session. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I brought to my marriage. And I thought I knew what marriage was getting into it, but then I realized I have no idea what it is.
Surprise, surprise.
So there was I'm very strong, and I'm very adamant in some things, growing up, when it comes to when I'm the older kid in my family. And yeah, so a lot of times I do it if I really like it, and if I won't do it, like even if my mom says like you have to do this and you have to listen to me, I said no, 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 I'll do what I want. So that's the kind of mentality I have.
Mm.
So probably maybe that is something I brought into marriage. Like sometimes not being emotional, and most of the time logical. Like when you're you know with the engineering, we also always go into problem solving mindset, right? So when you
Right.
look at a problem, you look at solving.
Mm.
And sometimes as a man, it is difficult to understand the emotions of a woman. Like there is a lot of learning that I needed to do during a marriage,
Yeah.
so that I can understand the emotions, and I can understand, the women, and what they go through. Yeah. So yeah, took a long time.
But also to understand each other's stories, right? Like, so
Mm.
it was, there was never a time when he would belittle my story or my journey. But rather, of course, it took our time to understand each other, the background with which we come from,
Right.
what we are bringing to the table, and, whether it's a baggage or whether it's a character or whatever it is, what it's still taking time. I wouldn't like, but have we grown? Of course, from our first year of marriage to the 11th year of marriage now, yeah,
Mm.
and it's still a process.
Right.
But at least everything is on the table. There's nothing hidden,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I think that's the strength in it,
Mm.
right? So, and everything is just laid bare for each of us to see. Okay, when it comes, we'll deal with it. So,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
But one thing is very clear, like before marriage, like I've been praying a lot. I used prayed like hours and hours, sometimes fasting prayer. Lord, you just bring me the right person into my life. So that's been always my prayer.
Mm.
And even so there were some proposals coming up, like someone, I was in US at that time, right? So there were some citizens, those proposals are coming up, and there are a lot of people were contacting me saying that but whenever I just but I was not motivated when I was praying about them.
Mm.
And sometimes like multiple people will ping you, and and then you contact them, or their family contacts you, right?
Mm.
So when I was praying, I didn't feel like God is leading me into it.
Mm.
So I was very careful, that God, Lord, if you lead me to this person, if you give me that confidence, this is the person you need to marry, I'll marry. Otherwise, no.
Mm.
So when I saw her profile, like first thing that caught my attention was like, she is studying, in Moody
Mm.
theological seminary, and she has done engineering. So So it's clear that she went with a calling, that you want to serve the Lord. So I want to marry somebody like who serves the Lord. And I'm so when I read the Bible, like I'm more inspired by Paul, like his mindset when it comes to missions, like the tent making, right? So you support yourself at the same time you are in the missions. So
Yeah.
it has always been my prayer, like I work and that you be in the ministry, like so that was my motivation too. When I was praying for Shilpa's profile. So like we've been through a lot, this 10 years, like growing up, and the shaving part of what God needed to do,
Oh yeah.
and through it all, it is very clear to both of us that this is something that is worth fighting for,
Mm.
and it's not that I chose you or you chose me, and it is
Gotcha.
God brought us together, and yeah, so that is very clear that we need to fight for this no matter what.
Wow.
I think that has been our biggest strength is that in our journey, both of us, when we said yes to marrying each other,
Mm-hmm.
both of us were not, again, like I said, we were not emotionally linked, but both of us had our own journey of how God wanted us to pray for our marriage. And we,
Mm.
at that time, we said, okay, Lord, we'll pray. And so there was that preparation time. And then God, through that thing, we're asking Lord, okay, how do we choose? How do we know? And God says,
Mm.
so to the same trust me that also brought, when God saying trust me to
Right.
him, and then God just telling me, trust me. And then, okay. And I said, okay, Lord, I'm trusting you in this process. There were other proposals, there were other profiles, all of that as well.
Mm.
But when it came to this profile, again, it's something about God just telling me, no, listen, one step at a time, just trust me right now. I only remember praying for a few things like about what God, how would I have to know that this person is my spouse that I remember praying for?
Mm.
And the other thing I remember praying for is because from the time I was 15, I was told that I can't have kids. Okay.
Mm.
Like infertility is just running in me. So I was like, Lord, but I always have a desire to be a mother. I was
Mm.
like, Lord, if it's your will, please, after I get married, please help me have children.
Wow.
Like even I think I saw my 12th gynecologist, I think even like a week before I got married, a new gynecologist, just to like see, hey, is this doctor going to say something different? And they were all like, no,
Mm. Mm.
But 6 months down the line, I was pregnant with twins. That's a different miracle.
Yes. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like there was this preparation time and God saying, trust me. And then when we entered into the marriage or like said yes to marrying each other, both of us had come in knowing that this was the person God wanted in our lives.
Mm.
So then after that, next 11 years, we can fight. We like really want to get the worst out of each other. And especially like Satish and me, we're very, very like-minded. My mother calls us like two peas in a pod. Like we are really so alike. So it's like literally two rams like going ahead, against each other. So both of us are the older kids. So really we're like,
I know
very
close
bad.
bonds.
But
Yeah.
then the only thing, yeah, but the only thing I feel like that keeps us going is like, no matter what, God chose you. Like he could have wanted like somebody with a citizenship or somebody who looked
Mm.
certain way or whatever. End of the day, God says, I'm enough for you. You're not enough for me, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it so happened that she saw my picture, Sarah.
She was
I
flattered.
swept her off the feet. I just said, "I'm gonna marry this guy, only this guy."
She's like, now I can't look at anybody else.
Yes.
But
Guys,
I'm
the,
No,
I'm
in
like,
fact, she said like, I want to marry you.
guys,
Before I said
no,
yes,
no, no.
she said yes.
I think we need to get back to the topic, but the sweeping is still happening, okay? No swept.
no, but like with
Uh,
what both of y'all are sharing, I've just noticed something so important is because nowadays the culture says the soulmate, the one for me is such a cliche topic, and a lot of young people fall prey to that. But from what y'all are saying, y'all had to trust God, not each other. And the fact that 11 years in, y'all are still working on that marriage because you said, this is the person God has given to me. I think it's a very different concept from what the world says the one means. Because people anticipate if I'm going to marry the one that, I have been looking for, everything is going to fall into place, which I think
No,
further away
That is the
From what?
biggest joke in life, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing will ever fall into place. In fact, it'll only pull it out of place.
Yeah.
Because you're like coming from two different cultures, you're two different human beings who's different to two different lifestyles,
Mm-hmm.
and like that is not supposed to be. Till date it happened. Why can you not keep this mug back in its place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's something starts something as small as that,
And it just
right? But and I think for us also, again, like I said, when we are very like-minded that way. Both of us again came in knowing that marriage is work,
mm,
but also at the same time there was not this notion of love being a very. There is of course butterflies in the stomach, and later on it comes, okay.
right.
But also, like, love is not just that.
Mm,
Love is being committed to this person, standing by him is, for me, is like at the end of the day, after a crazy day of work, just sitting and having a coffee for 15 minutes
right.
together,
Yeah.
or just having the 15 minutes conversation.
Mm,
Especially with kids now, very quickly we'll go into this homework,
more.
dinner, school, sleeping time, that we very quickly we go into that zone. So that
Mm-hmm.
for me, I feel like that most important time is that after that work, where I can have maybe that 10 minutes of just sitting down. It might just be the 10 minutes, but it's like to have that conversation. How was your work?
Mm,
Okay, that conversation is very important,
yes.
right? So I think for me it's that is love.
Yeah.
I think marriage really helps you to become more like Jesus.
Yeah.
It gives us opportunities daily to
Mm,
love each other
yes.
and to be sacrificial
Mm-hmm.
and to say, I choose you. And yeah, and to forgive each other, like how many times? Seven
Mm.
times? Seven multiplied by seven, or how many times?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because God gives us so many chances in life, no? Like, then I should also like, so God is giving him that many chances as a husband. He's giving me that many chances as a wife. So as a wife, I need to give him that many chances to become a better person.
Mm,
And he also gives me that many chances to become a better wife.
better wife. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I think that's so important. But like starting from there, I know eventually y'all had twins. Something I hear all the time, very sadly, is when two people are having a rough marriage and they still don't have kids, people just say, you know what, once children come, it'll get better. Like you will have more understanding, your relationship will grow deeper, and things will just fall into place. I think children are the missing piece in your marriage. I, for me at least personally, that it is not really how it works. But I'm sure with twins, you all have a very unique perspective because it's a lot more work in the front end, right? But tell me, Shilpa and Satish, in the beginning, what was life like? What were your expectations coming into marriage? And what were some things that blew you out of water? And you were like, oh my goodness, I did not anticipate this. And how did having kids actually influence your marriage? Because I'm not going to use the word affect, because children actually help the marriage get better, but not necessarily they don't fix it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, share a little bit about that.
Um, I think, like I said, like for my first wedding anniversary, I was already pregnant with my kids. I was 4 months pregnant with my twins,
Mm,
which is again a miracle that God and a prayer that God answered, right? First of all, and we had prayed for twins, and God had given us twins. So it
yes.
was really, they were answer to prayers.
Right. Yeah.
But is there a thing of we are entering into an arranged marriage? We've never physically been like, he was in Pennsylvania, I was in Chicago, so we've never really like been physically with each other as a person, like proximity.
Mm-hmm.
Then suddenly, like, to live together, and then within the first year, now we have twin boys, babies. Actually, life just goes on a roller coaster.
Mm,
And suddenly, we have financially, there's only one person working now. And financially, there's decisions that have to be made. When we are also like, when we were living in the US, we were on a work visa, so the visa issues. You change your job, you're changing from Pennsylvania to Chicago, Chicago to Minnesota. So many moves
Mm.
that happen. And then so many other, like, what do you say, family situations change. There are so many things that when we got into the marriage, we did not think that life will actually be that. Right now, looking back, every 2 years we've moved. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
With kids, every 2 years we've moved.
Mm.
And every place we've always looked for a home. Like, oh God, is this going to be home? This good. From Pennsylvania, we moved back to Chicago thinking, oh, I studied in Chicago already. I know so many, friends. That's going to be home. It was not.
Mm.
Again, moved. 2 years later, again moved. So many moves. What we were not prepared for was just life, I think,
Mm.
and the busyness of life. And his work structure was so hectic that he would have to go at leave home at 5 o'clock in the morning, travel 2 hours into downtown Chicago, and then again, travel 2 hours back in the evening. By the time he comes back home, it's 7, and he's
Wow.
exhausted. So 24/7 was just me and the kids,
Mm.
as babies. And these two will follow opposite schedules. One will sleep, the other will wake up. The other will wake up, and this one will sleep. You
Wow.
know,
Ah, it's very challenging.
yeah, but I think so. All of this, what we were not prepared for, is just that busyness.
Mm.
The time to like just relax, or where did your life go suddenly? That thought comes to your head, like what, and before you know it, you're just stuck in the busyness. In the middle of the busyness, oh, okay, your visa is stuck. Oh, this family problem has come, and you need this attention and something really emotional. And in the midst of all this, in 2020, COVID happened,
Right. Yeah.
right? And in the beginning of COVID, in the first year of COVID, we unfortunately lost my mother-in-law to
Mm.
COVID. So we're losing family members, we're losing parents, we're not able to go back home. That's a very emotional thing as well
Oh,
when we
yeah.
are away from our parents.
Mm.
Our parents, we are here because our parents have given us everything. They have worked hard. We are here living a life built on what they have provided.
Yes.
And, it's tough when we are unable to go there and be with his dad for him and, all of that.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think so. Life is just what we've understood is there's no permanent thing.
Right.
So, right now, we are in Montreal. By God's grace, okay, we have a home. We have certain challenges that we don't have anymore.
Mm.
But we never know what life will bring because that is the world that we live in,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think what has prepared us is also that all these changes in these last 11 years, all these moves or whatever it is, whatever comes, we'll handle it because God's given us the grace and the strength to handle it.
Yeah.
At that time, it was probably this huge thing on our head, and we were like, what are we going to do? So much in debt, you got so many different issues,
Yeah.
right, that come up. And yeah, but right now, looking back, right now I'm sitting with two 9-year-olds, healthy children,
Mm.
both of us in a place where we have an amazing community. Yes, will there be a life threat in the future? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But what we do know is God's been our only constant, and He's only been our rock in these last 11 years, and He'll continue to be that in the future.
Mm.
So I can go forward just stepping in that one thing, okay, Lord, you're going to be there. Because you've been there, no, all this time.
Right.
So my Heavenly Father will be there. So I think that is the confidence that God has given us. Of course, was it a lot of work? Yes, and we have had to seek help. There were
Mm.
times when we have had to go to therapists and really work on ourselves, to work on our marriage.
Mm.
And also another thing is to shut the voices that we feel is not necessary
Mm.
at the time. So those were two very critical things like that we had to do. One is, of course, to seek external help when we had to,
Mm.
and to see and to also choose the voices that we want to place around ourselves at the time.
Right. Satish, please tell me, how was it for you with kids? Because as a mom, her perspective is different. I think as men, you come in with the provider perspective, right? And uh, that stress hits different. But how did it affect your marriage? And what was it like in those early years?
Yeah, early years, I would say, I can't remember exact incidents, but we struggled a lot. Like there were days of silence. Like just come home and and
Mm-hmm.
there's some repeated arguments, and there's sometimes like she'll be completely silent. Sometimes I just spoke her and said like, talk, let's talk it out, but she wants that space, and sometimes the space could be longer than a day, or 2 3 days, so then it gets okay, no, that's not how we should be. We should talk it out, right? So then after some time, it got into me. Like then I started behaving like that. I was just silent, and I don't want to talk, and I'll just go, and I'll just do something, and sometimes there are times, we just I don't want to face her, and I just want to go somewhere else, and to a friend's home, and just hang out, like both of us together. So there were days like that. Yeah, and don't know the exact things, but there are a lot of things that there is a knowledge gap also, understanding a person from emotions perspective, and like she was with the kids throughout the day, and I come home in the evening at 7:30 because I woke up at 4:30, and then with this 4 hours travel, right, morning 2 hours and evening 2 hours, and the whole day she was with the kids.
Yeah.
So and that I did not understand that part, how difficult it is to
Be with.
raise two kids, like
Mhm.
be with the two kids, like and then there is another thing called postpartum depression, right? So that's another thing, that I don't know what it is. I mean, I studied pharmacy,
Mhm.
bachelor's in pharmacy, but I don't know what it is, like and then there's something like she has gone through C-section, right?
Mhm.
C-section, I thought like, it's so easy, like, just 10 minutes the babies are out. That's what I understood. And, then, and she didn't go through the pain like other women, and, just
Mhm.
push and all that thing didn't happen. So it's easy. Like, there are a lot of things that she's going through. I did not understand then.
Mm.
But I can say now I understand better because, there is preparation to be a doctor, right? You have to study MBBS to be a doctor, and, then there's a preparation for engineer, and there's preparation, to be a pharmacist. There is no preparation to be a husband, right? So there's some things like you learn on the fly, like on the job training kind of, and you make mistakes and learn, and you don't understand the person what she's going through, but
Mhm.
but when you go through those struggles, and that's when you look to Jesus, and you look to a mentor, or you look to a book, or you listen to some podcast, and
Mhm.
so then as you listen to the podcast when they talk about PTSD, not PTSD, what is that?
Postpartum
Postpartum.
depression.
Postpartum, sorry.
It is probably like
So
PTSD.
then you hear, yeah, then you hear from the people like, a pastor and, his wife sharing what they went through it.
Mm.
And, then you understand, oh, okay, this is something. And then looking into the C-section, like, that the pain that people go through, and, the complication that comes after that, and, physically and mentally, like, how many things that they go through, and, but they don't say it, right?
Mm.
So all these things, and then even when it comes to my marriage, like when I was listening to this podcast, that kind of helped me to understand what marriage is, that helping me to understand, and
Mm.
also to understand the person, and how I can be supportive. I'm just growing in that area to be a supportive husband. I think that's been a journey. I'm still learning. I'd say, like, there were days where I felt my marriage was 1 out of 10, and there are days where I felt that my marriage was -5 out of 10, and there were days like we hit the rock bottom, and it was we
Mm.
can't stand each other, kind of. But from there, I can say like now we are in a better place,
Mm.
but we had to go through all that.
Yeah.
And so what has helped me is, reading those books about marriage, and and we have marriage Bible study that we do with other couples, and so that oh, I'm not alone. Like there's another person going through the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't speak up, right? And in the small groups we speak, and we just share what we are going through,
Mm,
and listen to some podcasts, really good podcasts on marriage, like listening to that. So that helped me a lot.
mm,
And I would say like so last 2 years has been last 1.5 year has been like amazing, like and I can say that now it is like
Yeah.
7 and 8.
oh
So
wow.
marriage gets better, over the years, and if you never make a mistake, and
There's no learning from it.
there's no learning from it, like and you
Mm,
grow, like by making those mistakes, and there is no better way.
When you ask, like, what do kids do, right? Because some people say kids fix the issue,
mm,
or, all of that. I think for me, it's not about kids, it's about individuals.
mm,
But for us, how we have, how it has helped us is both of us again come from this mindset that, okay, yeah, I do take my space when we have an argument, and he takes that space when we have an argument. But Satish has this alarm. Okay. So, like, let's say we've had this argument today. He will say, when do you want to talk about it? By tomorrow evening, 5 o'clock? you know? So, and then he'll put his alarm on his phone to give us enough space, or like day after tomorrow. That doesn't matter. As long as you come back like at least 1 or 2 days from now to talk about it, to discuss it. So you can have that space. So he'll have that alarm, and then it'll come and show up on my phone, 5 o'clock, talk to Satish about this issue.
that's really
But
good.
what it has helped us is, yeah, but what it has helped us is because, and I'm also able to like set my mind to come back to that time prepared with what I want to say, my piece,
Mm,
because both of us are willing to put that into work because we know we have kids. I do not, we both know we want to put our best foot forward for our kids. We do not want to fake it for our children.
exactly. Yeah.
But at the same time, we want to like really work on it together because we are a family unit, and we have to work on our marriage. We have to work on ourselves. At the same time, be our best for our kids. So
Right.
I feel like kids also are a motivation in that way, to work on ourselves and on our marriage. So I
Yeah.
feel like kids have also motivated us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. I mean, I'm loving hearing you guys because I truly believe the first 10 years are really tough because so many new people are introduced into our life, right? Your in-laws, your children. Even though your children are born into your family, they're their whole individual beings with their personalities. And I remember growing up, I would always feel like the reason my mom and dad ever got into a fight is because of me. It had to do something about me. Like if it was just the two of them, they would be fine. Since you were talking about, what are the voices we are hearing and who are the people around us, a lot of times culturally, in laws are the most closest in reach, right? Like you naturally tend to reach out to your parents or your immediate family. And I know culturally in Indian culture, it's a huge issue. Like it's a very disproportionately huge issue where either mother-in-laws or just in-laws, just tend to kind of get into people's marriages and affect them pretty badly. I want to hear from you guys. What are some things around in-laws? Because I know you both didn't have to stay with in-laws per se because you were not in India, but nevertheless, strong influence still. What was it like for you guys to navigate the in-law relationship, and what were some boundaries that you had to draw and say, well, my wife comes first or my husband comes first?
When it comes to influence, those few times I feel like there has been a tug of war kinds is when we have lived under the same roof, like when my in-laws visited, and we are coming together.
Mm,
And of course, he comes from a very, very traditional family, like a very traditional Telugu family.
mm.
And I am nowhere near traditional. The traditional word doesn't exist in my dictionary. So, so that's
Yeah.
so. Was there a lot of there was a lot of miscommunication. Add to that I didn't speak the language when they first came. The boys were just born, so I think we were probably 1 year into our marriage. I didn't speak a word of Telugu, which now
Mm,
I do.
Thanks to me.
No, not for.
It's not you.
Yeah, keep thinking. So, uh, but I didn't speak a word of Telugu, so anything I try to say will be taken in a different way. Or,
Mm,
my family circumstances were not the greatest at the time. There were so
mm,
many things into the mix. For me, I feel though, again, I think I would have to give the credit to the few premarital sessions that Satish had gone to.
mm,
Because he was never a husband who would let them come in between me and them.
mm,
Like he would never say, "You go talk to my father and do this." Nothing. He's never ever said that. He only, I think, when we entered our marriage, before we got married, the only thing he told me was, "I want someone who loves my parents and who'll respect them."
mm.
And I think one of the things he said that he wanted me to learn Telugu, which I did. Okay.
Okay.
He's like,
Go
what
with
kind
you.
of thing?
Can't remember.
I'll go with you. I know. Huh? Okay. So, but those were, he laid out his expectations, and I think I did. But then, what he would do, no, he would kind of, for anything, like any issues or anything, he will kind of go to them first, and he'll talk to them, and then he'll come to me. So he would never kind of put us together in that situation and say,
Mm,
you know, deal with it. It was never that. So there was no like direct communication when it came to, like, let's say something negative or something. Were
right.
there still issues? Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. But also, I think the influences are, I'm bringing my own culture and he's bringing his culture.
yes.
And I'm kind of trying to enforce my culture, saying, hey, I'm coming from a Christian family. So we need to do this. He is saying, yeah, I mean, I might come from a Hindu family, but still, this is not my culture,
Mm,
right? So, and just because I come from a Christian family doesn't make it right. What is he bringing to the table? Like, how are we coming together and creating our own family culture, both of us together?
right.
Just because I did that growing up does not make it right.
Mm,
Right. So I think that was something again we had to work through. So
mm,
my in-laws, I feel, were never influences in that way. They would never kind of I think that is any when people, I think, just even as a husband and wife, if we have so many miscommunications,
mm.
Mm.
when you have like in-laws living, for sure there
There-
will be
yeah.
500% there will be.
Mm,
But I think how he protected me at that time was like, if you have anything against her, you come and tell me, because you're probably not understanding her, or
right.
so he would take that hit. He
Yes.
would protect me,
That's awesome. Yeah. That's
which I really, really appreciated at that time, because at that time I myself was only a year old into his family, so I didn't know his culture, I didn't know his
mm,
language. Until date, I don't think I understand his culture also completely, because I can never be in his shoes.
right.
Right? It's a completely different world from where I was brought up. Though we might come from South India, the
Mm,
world that he comes from and I come from is very, very different. It's vastly different.
true.
So there's really nothing in common that we have growing up.
Mm,
Not even language. Thankfully, we have English to speak. But that's what it is. So I think for us, for me, how I see it, my in-laws, maybe I don't think they even tried to be influencers also, but rather they had their own set way of doing things,
right.
right? But again, there he was there as the thing, saying, "Hey, this is my family. My wife and I will deal with it. This is our way of doing it,"
Mm.
and creating our own microculture there.
There are a few things that you would want to tell somebody and encourage them who's navigating, these first 10 years of marriage. They're in the deep, deep waters of raising little children and just dealing with in laws, learning about each other. What is something you guys would encourage them with?
This is what I'll say about marriage. Like if you're getting into marriage, thinking of getting married, in those days. So it is totally normal to have some days where a person goes silent and, it could happen for a few days completely silent. It's totally normal. Don't think that marriage is a failure.
Mm,
And then people keep changing. The interest keeps changing, right? So the person that I was 10 years ago is not the same, like, what I am now. So just continue to pursue and, continue to understand the love languages. Like, in the beginning of the marriage, receiving gifts could be a love language. But right now, acts of service, like, somebody's cleaning the vessels, I would appreciate that. Right.
Mm.
So the person changes, interest changes, love languages changes over the years. Like, just be mindful of it and continue to pursue love.
Mm.
And what you see in Instagram and Facebook, like, those couples with hugs and kisses, that may not be the true representation of, what they're going through in the family.
Right.
And then, other thing I would say is invest in some invest in spending some time together, reading a book on marriage, or attend a seminar, or Christian seminar, and listen to a podcast on marriage. They're really good resources. And when I wish I had these resources. Like, I started it 10 years ago, or early days of a marriage. Like, there are some things like focus on the family. There is another thing called crazy little thing called marriage, that is also from Focus on the Family. And there is one podcast called Java with Julie by Julie Slattery. It is God and sexuality podcast. And consider having a mentor. Like, when you are going through the stuff, I know, like, it's good to have a mentor with whom you can share what you're going through.
Mm.
That helps a lot. And pray together, like, at least twice a week or thrice a week, pray together, even it is for 10 minutes. I'm not talking about a family prayer where you have kids. No, I'm just talking about a prayer with you and your spouse, and that helps. Um, there are times, like, when marriage hits rock bottom, or even it feels like it is going through that.
Mm.
Just don't hesitate, and just if you need to see a Christian therapist, just see it. Sometimes that helps you, and they'll help you to see things in a different way, and they'll help you to improve the communication. And they so that that helps a lot. Like, there are a lot of times, like, we are not vulnerable to share. And say, if I say that I'm going to a therapist, that means, like, my marriage is, they're
Mm.
going through big stuff. No, don't wait until you reach that part. But even if you go through it, like, seeking help is better than not seeking help and keeping it to yourself. That's not going to help.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm encouraged to share this because, I listen to a lot of podcasts on marriage, like, wherein pastor who has been married for 30 years, like, when they go through their struggles, they go to the, therapist, and it says proudly that, I've been to a therapist and this has fixed my marriage. This
Mm.
has helped me to see things differently. So I think it's worth, seeking a therapist, Christian therapist when needed, right? So,
Mm.
um, I'd say marriage gets better over the years. You need to give it time, and marriage is worth fighting for.
Mm.
And both spouses need to fight. When both spouses need to fight, that's when you will see the beauty of marriage. And marriage teaches you the sacrificial love, and it gives you opportunities to practice it, like I said, and practice the forgiveness, and there are opportunities to communicate with grace.
Mm.
In turn, it gives you opportunities to grow in Jesus and to be more and more like Him. Yeah, that's what I noted down.
Well, that's awesome. That's great. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful. Shilpa, what about you? You don't have a list.
I don't have a list.
Spontaneous.
No, no. So there, I would say two things. The first thing is when we look at life as a whole, it becomes overburdensome. It becomes overbearing. It becomes too much of a weight that you're carrying.
Mm.
First thing I would try to do is compartmentalize. So this is my family life. This is my individual space, you know, like this is where I would have to look after my own health, my own mental health, my own spiritual health, my own walk with the Lord.
Mm.
You know, that is very, very important to me, so that is one area. Of course, if you're good at that area, then it can flow into all other areas. If you're right with God and right with yourself, you can flow into all the other areas,
Mm.
into your marriage, into your family, into your kids, into your in-laws, in all other areas. So, compartmentalize. So in this way, in this space and in your marriage, everywhere. So first is compartmentalizing and not take it just one step at a time. Okay, this is a time I need to work on my kids. So let me work on my kids. This is a time I need to work on myself. As wives, we're just all over the place. Hey, if are you able to take half an hour off
Yeah.
to just sit by yourself, have the time for yourself. What do you want to do? If you want to pray, pray. After that, if you want to read a book, read a book. If you want to watch something, be guilt free. You want to go out shopping, do something that is for yourself. To have that thing. So the first thing is compartmentalizing, and then the second thing is in each of those compartments to honor the Lord in all of those compartments. So as human beings, in generally in the world, we can either make or break a person. We have the power to do that. And that's what I think in the world we're doing to each other. We're, as husband and wife, we do that to each other. As parent and children, we do that to our children, and our children do that to us. Like we do that to each other. As friends, we do that to each other. As families, we do that to each other. We can make, or break a person.
Right.
Each of those compartments, we have to really just ask ourselves, in this situation that I'm facing over here, am I making my spouse or breaking my spouse? Am I making my children or breaking my children? Because by making my spouse, by building up my life, I'm honoring the Lord.
Right. Yeah.
So those are just the two things I would say. First thing, if you feel too busy, if you feel too burdened by what's happening, or just I don't know how each and every listener's life is like, whether it's busyness, just busyness. Maybe there's a health issue, maybe there's a mental health issue, like, or maybe there's a family issue, financial issue, so many things. Pay attention to that, prioritize, pay attention to that,
Yeah.
and do it in a way that honors the Lord and honors your spouse and makes people better around you, even in that situation.
Right.
Then you feel good about yourself also by coming out by doing that.
Yeah.
So that itself, like, I think it removes that kind of stress that we have over our lives when we prioritize it, and then and don't feel guilty. Guilt is not from the Lord at any point in time. As parents also, we feel guilty very easily. We very easily we fall into that trap. I'm not giving the best for my child. I shouted at him, or of course we are not going to be perfect parents. I even by doing the best for our children, 500%, I'm sure my children, I'm going to scar my child. Just because that's the human in me.
Yeah.
But my hope and prayer is that God, no matter what, please, I only ask that, my children are saved at the end of the day. That they know Jesus, the Heavenly Father, that they know the true perfect parent, their true Heavenly Father. That's my hope. Or that's our hope for our children. We don't have anything else for our,
Yes.
our children. So we are at any point in time going to not, we are all trying for, like, what are we trying for? Perfection? No. So let's just, take a step back, relax, and see what needs to be done, prioritize, focus on that, and how can I build my family when this issue is happening?
Right.
How can I build my spouse in that when that issue is happening? Build each other up. Bring people who want to build for you, pray around you,
Yes.
and just, sail through. Jesus is in the boat.
Yes.
He's nowhere else. He's walking on the water and he's in the boat.
Oh, that's so much wealth in what you're sharing, just simply because you've surrendered your life to Jesus. And I think that's what marriage is. Like, if we're going to try to do this apart from Him, we are all going to fail miserably.
We would have failed long ago. If we
True.
had done this by ourselves, or if we are doing this by ourselves, we would have, like I said, when I started this podcast, I said when I came in, I had this confidence to fail also, right? Like, I mean, I would have failed with that confidence also, I would have failed long ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But it's his grace and his strength, and above all, like, God has a purpose. for each of our lives, for each of our marriages, when the God has a purpose and He will fulfill that purpose. We need to have that faith that if He brought both of us together, He will fulfill that purpose. And we actually, at the end of the day, we only have to be clay in His hands
Yeah.
and just be like, God did, okay, I'm not perfect. I don't know what you're doing. You're doing something. By the time I die and see you up there, it'll become a better picture.
Yeah. Yeah. For
That's the yeah,
sure.
that is it. There'll be imperfections, but it's beautiful to be in that place
Yeah.
of being molded by a heavenly Father. Again, like we in 11 years, we've come this far. Next 11 years, I don't know what it's going to be like, but I know in the next 11 years, there's more molding to happen. There's more breaking to happen.
Oh yeah.
There's more shaving to happen. There's more, that's coming. But I'm still in my Creator's hands. I'm still in my Heavenly Father's hands. And that's a beautiful place to be in.
Yeah.
And we are still, as a family, in our Creator's hands. So we just need to let Him be and do what, as the Creator, He does.
Yeah. You're like the parents of teenagers.
No,
Teenage boys
I'm
in
not
the next
looking
10 years.
forward to that. I am not looking forward to that. Oh, dear Lord. I have
Oh.
nightmares about that, and I'm saying, Satan, go away, okay? So, no.
Hey, they say girls being teenagers is much harder than boys. They say boys are.
No way. Excuse me. No. They say the opposite. No.
Oh,
Please
but,
understand the side in me on this, okay?
but you guys, thank you so much for spending time with me on this podcast. I really am praying and hoping, it reaches the people that really need to hear it. God can use the smallest of efforts to bring about big. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hopefully in 10 years, if this podcast is still going, we'll have conversations about raising teenage boys. So,
I'll see you on the other side.
yeah.